Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Idiosyncratic Fables, brought to you by Wilderness Fire Productions, where everybody has a story worth telling, and I want to hear yours. And today, we are lighting up the microphone with one of the most versatile voices in the game. I'm your host, James, and our guest has been a professional performer for over 3 decades. Audiobook narrator for Macmillan, Simon & Schuster, Penguin Random House, and more. A trumpet master who's shared the stage with Alan Menken, Renee Fleming, and Foreigner, and even hit the NBC Today Show. Stage actor, humorist, MC, and proud husband, father, and hiking enthusiast who genuinely lights up talking about the breath-stopping beauty of the natural world. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to welcome to the show Stacy Carolan. I sat down with Stacy, and initially I had probably 12 to maybe 15 questions jotted down that would hopefully garner about 30 minutes worth of content. I was overjoyed with how much Stacy was willing to share, as well as his ability or willingness to be vulnerable. And you'll hear that towards the end of the episode here. So I invite you to sit back and enjoy my interview with the fantastic Stacy Carolan. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Idiosyncratic Fables. I am your host, James, and today I am beyond delighted to introduce my next guest to you from the fantastic, beautiful state of 1,000 Lakes, Minnesota. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Stacy Carolan. Stacy, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show today, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Yeah. So let's just, I don't want to say kick things off or start it off or jump right in, because you hear those all over the time on YouTube. I think I need to find like a new, let's get going kind of.
Let's kick this pig.
Or we can go all the way back to Top Gun days, kick the tires and light the fires.
Yeah. We get
There
something,
you go.
just something like completely different. Like let's crack the lid on this can of beans. Let's
That one has potential.
Skin this snake. I don't know. There could be all sorts of weird. We can make it super weird and trendy.
We can. So question number 1 for you, Stacy, you have been performing since you were 6 years old. Walk us through the wild path that led from trumpet performance at the Eastman School of Music all the way to becoming a sought-after audiobook narrator for major publishers.
Ooh, well, it hasn't been 6. I'm going to correct that right now, because you may have been reading it upside down. I think it was around 9 or 10. Sometimes those sheets get turned around. I get that.
I remember. I was standing on my head. My apologies.
Yeah. No, that's not, just something he does, folks.
Yeah.
No, but and you may have also just calculated my age wrong too. I'm older than I look, and younger than I feel. Wait, I don't know. One of those is right. I don't know. But about 35 years, I guess I've been performing. Mainly as a trumpet player. I started playing trumpet when I was 9. And then I got to playing with a group based out of the church that my family went to, where they would just play at nursing homes. And this was like a regular paid gig. They were all over the place doing this, like a whole bunch of places down in Southwest Iowa. And that was my first kind of paying gig. And I've just been kind of doing that ever since, playing trumpet. Through high school, I was, not gigging heavily, but, gigging enough that I was away from school for, maybe 3 or 4 days a month. I'd have to miss school to go play a morning gig somewhere or do something. So it wasn't, full time. I wasn't supporting myself in New York City as a, toddler or anything like that. But no, it's been good. It's been mainly trumpet for those years. Then out of college, I sang with an a cappella group based out of Minneapolis, and that was a full-time touring thing. I kind of took a break in the middle of my first crack at the undergrad degree down in Iowa to do that, and took about 8 gap years and then came back to it after. But during those 8 years, we were doing about 275 shows a year, putting about 55,000 miles on our, conversion van, on a few different conversion vans. Van and trailer, seeing the country. I mean, it was really great. It was really, really great. And that was, on stage pretty much, the majority of the year, doing at least one show. I can't do the math. 275 out of 365 is a percentage. We'll just say that it is a percentage. And that was just great experience, being on stage, being, the same show every night, having to be funny, but also having to find the right delivery for something, which I really enjoy. I enjoy crafting something so that it works really well, like stand-up style. And I don't mind doing it over and over again if it's working. So that I was sort of the guy who wanted to get it right, so it was the funniest. We kind of clashed heads a little bit with some of the other guys who just wanted to be spontaneous all the time. I was like, that's great, but if you can't reproduce it, that's not what I was digging on stage. So a lot of the craft, I feel like the craft of speaking and delivering came from that time for me, which I really enjoyed doing. Then I went back to school, went back to playing the trumpet again, and finished up with the master's degree from Eastman out in Rochester. And I was playing out there. I was teaching. We came back to Duluth 2016, and I just kind of got in the scene here. It's a surprisingly good music scene in Duluth. And then in 2020, I don't know if you read about this, there was this global pandemic that had happened around that time. I think
I caught a faint wind of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was in some of the news outlets that were reporting on it. And that's when I started looking into audiobooks and just sort of started training, started working on it, started meeting people, started networking. My wife was working full time. She's a healthcare provider. She's in movement disorder. And so she never stopped working during the pandemic. She was always, never didn't go to work during the pandemic. She was never able to work from home. The kids were home for school. They did great. They were absolute champs during distance learning. They did so good. So I had a lot of time on my hands because clearly there wasn't any trumpet gigs going on that time. So no one wants you to spray your aerosolized saliva everywhere. It was weird.
No.
Super strange. Flutes are the worst. Trumpets are fine. We don't actually spray anything. Flutes, they're blowing stuff out. But anyway, that's
I remember
old argument.
I remember from my days of high school marching band.
Yeah. No, the spit that comes out of a trumpet is not actually spit. It's condensation, because there's a little bit of spit, yes, but the majority of it is condensation. Comes out here. I'm holding up a trumpet. This is audio only. That's not helpful. But so yeah, I just started. I was able to do it. I was able to set it up in a way that I think really set me up for success. Like the kids were still going to eat if I didn't get books right away. I didn't have to grab every single book I could find. I didn't have to go on ACX for the, $50 to $100 PFH ones, so I could take my time and really build the portfolio that I think would help me and network and meet people and do it the way that I thought was going to really set me up for it. And I think I've been happy with the results. I don't know that I would say successful, but I mean, I feel like I am successful, but more than that, I feel like I'm happy with the results that I've gotten and the trajectory that I'm on. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay.
Larger nut, but yeah.
Your music resume is insane. Performing with folks like Alan Menken, Renee Fleming, Foreigner, and appearing on national TV. How has that live performance energy and musicality shaped the way you approach narration and character voices?
Ooh, cool question.
I have a few.
I think those instances and those things that I've been able to do throughout my career have been, first of all, so many of them, I just feel like, am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yes.
I feel like I have just fallen butt backwards Sorry, I just feel weird saying it. I just can't. Even that I feel. No, I'm kidding. I just feel like completely ass backwards into every good thing that's happened to me professionally. Honestly, or moments like that that have happened. So I don't think there's something that I've pursued or lusted after, coveted, like those celebrity meetings or those kind of things. So when they've happened, I really feel like I've been able to just really enjoy them for what they were, and just kind of this cool moment, working with Alan Menken and Glenn. I can never remember if it's Glenn Ballard or Glenn Slater. Anyway, lyricist, one of the Glenn lyricists. There's a couple of them. They're both amazing. But working with them on a song and the Today Show was a blast, and just all this really great stuff. Foreigner was actually pretty recent. A few years back up here in Duluth, they were just contracting for a horn section in the area as they were finishing up a tour, and I got called for that. So but everyone I've met has been super cool too. Like I haven't met like celebrity people who have been total jerks. Like I think that has shaped me more than doing things or having met people. Like I think meeting people, meeting celebrities and having these amazing situations and finding out that they're all just situations. They're all just the gig, and people are just people, and they're all actually cool. And if you just like talk to someone or hang with someone, like that's, I don't know, that's been of more benefit to me personally and professionally. And as far as how it affects, I think, what I do and what I try to do now, I feel like I did a book a while back. It was a YA with this kid who finds a magical D20 die, and it gives him good luck, and he's able to ask out the girl he has always wanted to ask out, and he's all this really amazing things are happening to him, and he calls into a radio show and wins tickets to this amazing the singer who everyone loves. He's like the big singer at the time, and he gets tickets for him and this girl to go to it. And the singer ends up stopping by the shop that he works at. And I feel like that I felt like I wanted to give that singer, that celebrity, like mega celebrity singer, just this like really chill approach. And because that's how I felt that they are, not something aloof or anything like that. I don't know, some of them are. I know that some of them, are the stereotype that we expect them to be. But so in my experience, so many of them have just been like people doing their things. And yeah, we recognize them, and they are really amazing at their craft, obviously. But man, they're just so fun to talk to and hang out with, and just like talk about completely random stuff. And I wanted to bring that to that character. So I think that has shaped it. But otherwise, it's just doing stuff. I don't know. That's a weird answer that took a long time, but
it's really cool nonetheless.
I don't know. I just feel like people are people, and they've always been people. And I suspect, I don't have any proof of this, but I suspect that even like the more famous a person is, I have a feeling that they like almost appreciate not being treated like a celebrity sometimes, because they get that, like I couldn't go out and be treated like a celebrity. I could go out and be treated like a normal person. They can't go out and not be treated like a celebrity, but possibly they don't get to be treated like a normal person sometimes too. Like I don't
Right.
know. That could be just this me projecting whatever on them. But I feel like I've had success thinking that way, and I've had enjoyable interactions with people like that. So
That's fantastic. You've got one of the most eclectic before I was famous jobs I've ever seen as far as like lists go. Like things to include baseball mascot, roofer, casino dealer, knife salesman, Elvis impersonator. I mean, which one of those wild gigs secretly prepared you for best stepping into wildly different characters in the booth?
see, here's the thing. I got to go look it up because there's so much stuff on there. I've forgotten what it all is.
Far be it from me to not do my research.
Oh, no, that's tight, man. That's tight. Okay, this really great website down to the about. All right. Man, that is a lot of stuff. Cool. Yeah. God, I think that all of it has. I mean, that's a cop-out answer, but I feel like so much of it. I feel like you have to go do stuff if you're gonna portray stuff. When I was at Eastman, my brother-in-law was there at the same time as me, and he's a French horn player. Fantastic French horn player. He's out in Baltimore right now, but he's down in the cities, just doing great. He's principal horn for the opera. I mean, just like a world-class player. And so I knew I was also friends with a lot of people in the French horn studio, which doesn't happen a lot at Eastman. You kind of get in your bubble and you stay there. But I had this kind of nice window into another studio. And the teacher there in the French horn studio, he would have a lot of undergrads come through. They would do their degree with him. They'd be great. And they'd want to go right into the master's program with him. And he would never let them. He's like, no, get your bachelor's, then go out, go do things, go into the world, go play, go be, go live, then come back and do the master's, because he didn't want them to sign up for this big investment thing when they didn't have anything to say as musicians. Like, you got to go live life. You know, you got to go do things and experience things before you can put that into your art. Otherwise, what are you putting into your art? You know, and I think that certainly goes, if you can apply that to this abstract concept of, you know, music, especially, you know, brass playing, you know, how artistic, what kind of artistic impetus can you put behind, you know, making a fart noise through an expensive metal tube? Like, what is, but you can. And if you can do that with that, you certainly can and should do that with acting as well. So I think I look at this ridiculous list of a life here, and I feel like so much of it feeds into that. I feel like everything, you know, internet copywriter, you know, I will say, on a technical side, the internet copywriting job really prepared me to make sentences work that shouldn't otherwise work.
Ooh.
Because that was a lot of SEO, actually. So, you know, people they buy a bunch of keywords that they want their clients' websites to be to rank for. So, like, I would have to incorporate, my job was to write little blog articles, and I would have to incorporate things like best dental implants, Rochester, New York. And you had to put it in that exact way. You had to, like, you couldn't add words in the middle of the phrase. They were trying to rank for that exact phrase. So you had to find a way to make those work. You had to find a way to finagle a sentence. And so it'd be something like, if you're looking for the best dental implants, Rochester, New York is the place for you, you know? So, and you probably know this, in audiobooks, we will get scripts in, I'm going to say, in various stages of editing, with various levels of, you know, having gone through it with a fine tooth comb, right? There's going to be stuff in books that isn't always, you know, it isn't always like super flowy prose as far as we would say it. So you got to figure out how to make that work. And I think on a technical level, that did help me for that. What else? Baseball mascot? I don't know about that. It's hot in the booth. I mean, that sometimes plays into that. I gotta maybe hydrate. Casino dealer, that was a lot of dealing with people. I mean, you know what you're doing with the cards so quickly that you stop thinking about that, and it all becomes about interaction and talking with people and listening to people and, you know, playing off of that and trying to make them have a good time because they're going to lose. Here's the secret. You're not going to win at the casino. If you play long enough, you will not win. That's why they stay open. Any of the salesman stuff. Yeah, the knife salesman, that's obviously meeting people.
Well, of course.
Elvis impersonator. I mean, that's more for shock value than anything, I guess. I broke the belt I had at one show, so I can't really do that anymore. Yeah, comedy writer, for a little, I would help write shows. Oh, it's audio only, but this really great little place in Maine, this little theater, tiny little theater, and we would just get together in the morning and write a show and perform that show in the evening. It was just really great, like sketch stuff and just turning it around with a really great group of people. And, you know, I got to think that has to help acting. Yeah, I think the more you do, the more you experience. And I think honestly, I don't even think it matters specifically what you do, as long as you do stuff. As an actor, we have to draw from that stuff. And you can walk around with your notebook. You can walk around, I know there's a lot of acting teachers that say, walk around, take notes on everything, listen to everything, write down this character, memorize, see how people are interacting and all this stuff. And that's great. And that's fine. But I think for me, I much rather would like to be involved in it and speaking with the person rather than just kind of like, eavesdropping on their conversation, which don't get me wrong. I love being creepy like that. That's fun too. But like, I think that being involved in it and seeing, how people react to things that you would say so that you can kind of get a sense of, you can kind of have that conversation just be a lot more organic and more, I think it sinks into your bones more with other characters when you are the one interacting with them, because that's what we have to do in an audiobook too. We have to be the ones as the character interacting with the other character. So I've always felt that being more immersive in that environment is, to me, better than just observing and taking notes. There's value to that, but I found it sits in my bones a lot more if I'm a part of it. So yeah, just doing stuff, being places you might not always go, or looking deeper at the places you do go more often, like trying to find stuff. I don't think I've ever been bored in my life, honestly. I think I can always find something to do no matter where I am, no matter if I've done it before. Like, yeah, this was before phones too, because I'm 84 years old, and that has, I think, before phones and before electric light, we didn't have those things. You're out there, you don't have your indoor plumbing. You're out there building, you got to move Stonehenge blocks every 6 months for the daylight savings. You find stuff to do.
Back in the day of shouting to one another across the hallway to get each other's attention. Yeah.
First, you have to throw the can for them to catch, and then it has to be close enough so that the string doesn't come out, and then you can talk to them through the can.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what gauge of string did you use back then?
You have to have it waxed, and we had a smithy who would do that for us down at the other end of the village.
Ooh, I couldn't afford a smithy, so good on you.
No, we would barter. I had a couple brothers. Yep. Yeah. We gave him a couple of brothers from my family, a big family, so we would give him a few children to work the bellows. He's a good guy. Good guy. Smelled a little, but
hey, that's all right. But honestly, I can actually relate to your experiences you were talking about, because it's my personal belief that the more experiences we have throughout life, the better stories they tell later on down the road.
Absolutely.
And I think you absolutely expounded on that beautifully. Speaking of stories, let's fast forward to one of your newer releases, W. Bruce Cameron's Ripley Fire Station 5, which is a heroic dog story set in an actual fire station. What was it like narrating that adventure, and did any fire moments or animal characters surprise you in the booth?
Oh, that was a fun little book. It was just such a charming little book. Let's see. I think that was a fun one in a lot of ways because that author does a great job of setting up these situations. There's human characters obviously in this book as well, and they've got their dynamic going on, but then spinning it around from this dog's perspective, like every once in a while, like, oh yeah, that's actually a very strange thing when you see it without this lens of human knowledge of what's going on, without this social awareness that we have. Like, if you just were a dog observing this behavior, that's inexplicable. So that was kind of fun. I love perspective shifts like that. That was a really fun one. I've lost the thread of your question. I'm sorry. Where was?
No, it's okay. So what was it like narrating that one? And more specifically, did any, quote unquote, fire moments or animal characters surprise you while in the booth?
Let me think. That one, it was a while back. That was one, and this doesn't happen as often as I wanted to, but that was one where you get near the end and there's a lot of there's a lot of resolution. Obviously it's a book about a dog trying to find courage to be a fire dog and also to be this kind of like impromptu therapy dog, helping some other characters through some emotional stuff they're going through as well. So you don't expect a horrible twist, sad ending to it. We're gonna be okay. Everything's gonna
Right.
Spoiler, everyone. If you haven't read the book, it turns out okay. Don't worry. You can let your kids read it. It's fine. But that was one of those ones that, as everything's kind of wrapping up at the end, and Ripley is being recognized for this, and the girl he's been helping, is she's able to be a lot braver too. That's one of those ones where you gotta stop recording periodically because the voice doesn't quite work a little bit. You're like, it's fine. I should dust in here more often. It's just I should stop keeping the onions in the booth. That's just a bad idea, and I always know it's a bad idea. One of those. I think that's. It's a really great problem to have, I guess, when you get so invested in the story that you have to stop and take a couple more takes at it, and then try to keep enough of that so it comes through, rein it in enough that you can control what you're doing, but let in enough of it so that you can still hear, what you're feeling as you're doing it. I have a couple. There's a couple interesting side notes of that story. That book was the first one that my daughter was able to point to her the book order form at school and say, my dad narrated this book. Like, that was my first one to appear like that. So that was kind of a cool moment. And I got to go talk to her library, her class at the school library. The librarian had me come in and do just a talk on audiobooks with the kids, and that was really fun. Read him a little cool book about a bird, I guess. And then kind of on the less wholesome side, that book released the very same day. It's a book, it's a book about an adorable puppy who wants to be a firefighter. And it released on the exact same day as this splatter Western about this vengeance seeking, like demon hunting, guy basically tearing apart this entire town, and it's blood and it's guts, and there's a hell dog, and there's, succubi, and there's same day.
All manner of just opposite stuff.
It is double release day, everybody.
Hey,
there's something for everyone.
Can I interest you in a little bit of everything all of the time?
Exactly.
There you have it.
So it's just, the trench coat is just bigger. That's all. Like, hey, what you need? What you need? Even they both had dogs, so that was something.
Hey, relatable content. Depending upon which side of the fence you live on. You're known for very believable, earnest delivery and a huge range of accents. I mean, some, but not all, to include French, German, Irish, Southern, New York, you name it. What would you say is the hardest accent or genre switch you've ever had to nail on short notice? And as a bonus, do you have any hilarious outtake stories?
I don't. I tend not to keep my outtakes. I am waiting. So I'm in a booth in the basement out in the woods here in Duluth. I know for a fact every once in a while we'll have fishing spiders come into our house. I don't know, have you ever seen a fishing spider? I know we had them in Iowa.
Not familiar with fishing spiders.
They're not far off of wolf spiders.
I am familiar with wolf
spiders.
spiders.
So, you get a decent, 3-4 inch leg spread on them, and they're good size. They're super calm. They're super chill. But I know the minute I'm looking at a video screen right now, and I know the minute I see one start crawling down the back of my booth, I'm
like that one there.
Yeah, that one right there. No, he's fine. We're cool. He pays rent. I know the minute that happens, I'm going to scream, and I'm hoping I record it because I don't think that's something I should deny the rest of the world access to. I think that would be a great moment to share with the world, to have that moment. But let's see. Now I got to back up. Spiders, accents. My spider accent, by the way, is solid, rock solid.
I would pay some good hard-earned copper to hear that one.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to because it's not happening right now. No. I've always enjoyed accents. I love accents. I just love trying them out. We were on a bell choir trip in England with my wife, and my father-in-law ran a bell choir. And they would do a tour every year, and they would go to England now and then. And I was loving it. We were going to all these different places, and I was trying out the accent, and my family was so embarrassed. They're like, "Stop that. Stop that." I'm like, "I want to get this right. I love this. It's so great." I'm not going to like, "Hey, governor," I'm not going to like offend anyone. I'm just trying to like find the rhythm of it, in a way that, and I don't need to fool anybody. I fully aware that they're going to know I'm doing an accent, but I want to do it. I want to ask about it and try to get it right. It's like,
it's training.
And then I can write off the trip. Exactly.
Yeah. It's all for work purposes. And also if you do it, sans cliche phrases, all the better.
Exactly. The cliche phrases are the ones, maybe you can use one to get into it in the booth, something a little lead in that'll lock you into it. I have a few different ones for different accents, and that helps for sure, but not once you're in it. It has to be, the character has to be a real character before they're a voice. But let's see, one of my worst ones is South African, Afrikaner, I think specifically. I had a character in a book once. It was a military thriller, and this character was just, this mercenary. He didn't really have a lot of lines, but I agonized over them. And then he died, and I was so happy. I was so thrilled to see this guy die. I was like, yes. Oh, I'm sure he has a family that loved him, but I'm so glad he's gone. I don't have to.
Yeah.
Welsh.
Yeah. There've been a few characters that my pseudonym has narrated of a very similar mindset, where I was so thankful the character passed on or was executed. Like, yes, you're dead. You've been murdered. I can move on.
Oh, you're in a better place. Trust me. Yeah, that's Welsh has always been a tricky one for me. I really have to have. There's been a few times I've literally had to write it out phonetically just to make sure. And I will. There's a couple. I think those two specifically, I will. If I know there's a lot of UK location work in an audiobook, I will ask, like, is there Welsh? Because that's not my most solid accent. I'll get it what I can. How much Welsh is there? That one just bedevils me for some reason. But I think there's some really great resources out there for doing that, and really great. I mean, with Netflix and YouTube and everything, I don't know how people used to learn accents without just having to travel everywhere.
Right.
Because there's such great resources now. My Australian has gotten so much better just because we've been watching a lot of Bluey. Bluey's great. It's fantastic. You get you can all sorts of like levels of the accent, from the lightest, there's one dog specifically that sounds mostly American except for the one vowel they use. But other than that, it sounds like they're just adding the one vowel, and they just brought in some American actor. But there are some Australian accents that are that, I guess, light, I would say, all the way up to, Crocodile Dundee-esque accents.
Right.
It's a whole gamut of that's really fun. I just love to immerse myself in that, and just like, I'll try to follow dialogue, 1 second after I hear it, just let it roll in my ear and just spit it out right away, as it goes, and just try to get all those phonemes out of there and everything. No, I've always loved that. I've always loved doing that. I have an accent. So, if you fill out the profiles for publishers and stuff, they'll have the list of accents. A lot of times it's like in an Airtable thing with the little bubbles, and you have to go down and find each one and click on.
Right.
Or you have to list them, the ones that you feel strong enough to do, like a whole audiobook, or just characters, or main character, secondary character, all that stuff. I have one that I don't think has a locality, and this is from Iowa. I think we're talking Iowa. I just call it redneck. Like, it is just the redneck accent. I don't think it has a specific place. Like, at least what I do I haven't been able to find a specific place, but like, I just list it. Sometimes I put in quotes to be nicer, but it's a redneck accent. It's Larry the Cable Guy. It's the people I knew growing up in rural Iowa. It's there. It's farmer, It's so I feel weird that I feel like that should have a more specific location, but I just don't think it does.
It doesn't, because I know the accent you're talking about. I can't verbalize it at the moment, but I hear it in, rural places of Iowa. There's farmers in Illinois that have similar accents, dialects, whatever. Oh, even over in Wyoming, you'll hear it as well.
Because it's not quite Western and it's not quite Southern.
Nope.
It's its own thing. It really is. So
just that weird hybrid, amalgamation of all of them.
Yep.
So I wanted to circle back to what you mentioned about being a comedy writer. So as a now former comedy writer, unless you still do, correct me if I'm wrong, how would you sneak in humor into, let's say, dark thrillers or even serious nonfiction without breaking the tone?
Ooh.
And then as a bonus follow-up, what's the funniest line you've ever had to deliver straight-faced?
Oh, man. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna try to answer the first part and then try to allocate part of my RAM to work on the other part. So I think I'm a firm believer that the best stories are never just one thing, are never just one tone. And if I ever find myself being stuck in one tone for a book, and again, varying degrees of writing styles, we do what we're given. I had a romance novel, a dark romance novel, very early on. And I was doing the meeting with my co-narrator, and she was like, yeah, I'm having trouble with this. This just basically starts at 11 and never goes down. Like, it's all like angry and intense. And, so if the writing is really rich and varied to begin with, then chances are the lighter moments are in there, or the sarcastic moments are in there, or, just even the moments that might come down a little bit, whether or not they're full on, angry, angsty mafia romance. There's going to be moments that are lighter in the writing more often than not. And if they're not, then I will try to see if there's someplace I can, dare I say, crowbar it in, because I think that helps me. And I think it helps the listener too. I think as listeners, even if it's not a full out belly laugh in the middle of a torture scene, it doesn't have to be that, but it can just be a moment of like, oh, and then you come back into it, just something to just take out the two-dimensionalness of the tone. It has to vary, or it's not interesting to perform and it's not interesting to listen to. So yeah, I try to find those things. And I think one of my joys in life, and I think something that I've found that I'm good at, is kind of being able to see that stuff in nearly everything ever. Like, I think there is funny stuff everywhere. I think there is funny stuff I mean, everyone knows the phenomenon of laughing at a funeral, right? It's not that it's not funny. Like, objectively, there are funny things that happen in very sad situations. And I think the people that feel like you're not allowed to laugh in those situations, man, you're really missing out, because having a laugh like in the midst of all that can be one of the most purifying things. Not like cruel laughter, but there are funny things that happen all the time. And I think I've been very fortunate in my life to see those. I feel like more often than a lot of people do, certainly more than a lot of my teachers growing up did, apparently. But if my disciplinary record can be believed, but they were missing out, and I wanted to share it with them. I think there's just so many moments like that. And I think the best art combines those, super funny moments that are then just suddenly tragic, or, long tragic scenes that suddenly something ridiculous happens. I mean, it's the Coen brothers, it's Joss Whedon, it's Aaron Sorkin, all these really spectacular writers, I think, do such a great job of blending those things. And in the stuff that we read, if it's there, I really want to make sure it's there. And if it's not, then I want to find the places where I can at least try to put it in there. And I don't think I've ever gotten pushback in a situation like that from a publisher or an author where they're like, yeah, I didn't like the humor in there. Like, I think everyone likes humor. Especially in nonfiction. I think they're looking, add a little clowning, in the background of a finance book. I think that could be a heck of a thing. Jeff Hayes reading, Noam Chomsky. But
right.
Actually, I would pay 2 credits for that.
Yeah,
but I think it's there. And
if he did the whole thing in Princess Donut's voice, yes. I would pay 2 credits for that.
I remember listening to that and listening to the beginning of Dungeon Crawler Carl and thinking, there's no way he's gonna Warburton this entire book. There's no way he Warburtoned.
He 100% Warburtoned.
Oh my goodness, that to me really loosened up in my mind what we're allowed to do. I mean, yeah, it's not, again, not for every book, but man, we can stretch it a little. We can go for it sometimes. And that was really inspiring. Anyway, but that wasn't the question. Man, the funniest line. Oh, I guess, man, I spout so much ridiculous nonsense in my daily life. It's hard for me to like pin something down. Especially, in a book where you do it and then, you're on to the next chapter. I do have one that keeps showing up in a sample that I do that I really enjoy. It's an author down in Florida, Nathan Van Coops, just great guy, some really, really great stuff. I was fortunate enough to work with him early in my career, and I really felt like I was so lucky to work with such great material and such a great guy and really cool books. It's like a time travel noir. He's like a private detective, but he can also travel through time. So he like spends a lot of his time solving the client's case in like, an hour and a half, and then spending the next couple of days just hanging around pretending like it's taking him that long because he's able to go back in time and see what was happening, and then just, billing them for the extra time because he wants it to seem realistic, like he was actually doing work. But there's this one scene, and he's going back. This wife thinks that her husband, like the official police report says that the husband committed suicide, but the wife thinks he was murdered, so she wants him to go back and check it out. And he goes back and he's observing the scene, and everything about it seems like a suicide. And except there's this car, there's this big black menacing SUV with these 2 Russian mafia guys in it. He's like, okay, well, that's admittedly suspicious. So he's going up to, it's kind of futuristic. He's got like some futuristic tech. He's got these little micro dot cameras he'll put on stuff and kind of observe the scene from different angles while he figures out what's going on. So he goes up to the car, the Russian mafia car, to put a little dot on their driver's side mirror. So he can, kind of observe what they're seeing from their angle as well. But he's got to, kind of cover it. So he's talking to him. He's like, hey, I'm looking for my dog. Y'all seen my little dog walking around? He has a little Yorkie Schnoodle Chow thing. And they're like, we look like dog catchers to you. Get lost. And they roll up the window. And the guy says, he looks at the window and he says, I'm just going to keep looking around then. And he goes, like that was just right there in the writing. And it was just so, it's not a scene you have to work. It's just right there. And it just goes immediately and is just such a wonderful gift when it's like that. Cause you can lean into it without having to lean into it. And it just works. And just, you just live for lines like that. So yeah. That's, again, I'm sure I've done other funny stuff that I can't think of right now. Cause I talk a lot. I don't know if you noticed that.
It's kind of a side effect of what we do.
It is.
Speaking of what you and I do, and narrators alike, we spend hours alone in a booth with just a script and a mic. What would you say is the most rewarding part of that solitary craft, and what keeps you motivated after hundreds of hours of recording?
I would say the most rewarding part of it is, for me, I don't know. just having done it, like, because it's so contained, because it's so literally, we're in these little padded boxes. We are literally contained. And it's just us. Sometimes we'll work with a director. We're fortunate enough to do that, or remote engineering. But so much of the time these days, it is just us. And we are doing the prep. We are doing the, making sure our setup is always to spec, and, doing the directing as we go, and the engineering on the fly, and going back and making sure in the punch and roll, and all these extra hats we wear, in addition to the acting hat, which full-time hat, for sure. If we want to give it everything we got. I feel like just having done that, to me, feels like a really great accomplishment, to just have, to know that I got done with that, and I'm able to send out something that that is working for whoever hired me. That they're like, that's, yes, cool, and then I get hired again. To me, that's the big benchmark. I think that a lot of people can get a gig. This is Trumpet. This is voice acting. I think a lot of people can get a gig, but that's not success to me. Success is getting the next gig, like getting another gig from that gig. That is, it's not awards. It's not, appearances on prestigious podcasts. It's all about, getting that next gig from the work that you did. And that, to me, that's the most successful feeling that I have. It's like, oh, hey, great job in this book. I mean, they're probably going to say great job in this book no matter what, right? Unless you did something horribly wrong, they're probably going to say, hey, great job, thanks for your work, right? And then if you never ever hear from them again, you're like, okay, well, I guess that was that. But say, hey, great job in this book. We got another one for you. Do you want to do it? Like, that's like, oh, they did think I did a great job on this book. They literally thought I did good enough to hire again. That's, to me, the biggest success for there. And then to the second part of your question, which I don't remember right now. I talk so freaking much, James. I talk so much. James, I talk too much. I'm the worst podcast guest ever.
No, you're not.
Who is? Tell me who is.
Oh.
Who's the worst guest you've ever had? Ooh, the interviewee has become the interviewer. No.
Bum, bum, bum.
Johnny Heller, I swear to God, I just want to. No.
No. I don't think I have one, because each guest I've had has been their own unique, persona. And like I even tell my kids, every single human being has their own merits and flaws that makes them uniquely them. There will never be another, Stacy Carolan. There will never be another James Cheatham. There will never be another, we'll toss his name into the ring, Johnny Heller. There will never be another one of those guys that sound exactly like, who they are.
Now, there might be impressions.
There he is. But no, I've never had a bad guest or regrettable guests, nothing like that.
Oh, that's good. Well, and I think that speaks to the quality of the host as well. So, just throwing it out there.
Much appreciated.
But seriously, I've forgotten the second half of your question.
We're talking motivation. What keeps you motivated after hundreds of hours of recording?
I've got to say, this last year, I had a lot of trouble with that. We had some family stuff. My father-in-law, who I mentioned before, he passed away last January, not this just past January, but it was a year this last January. And we'd been living in, I said we moved back in 2016. We moved back in to help. My mother-in-law was having some health issues as well. And so my wife and our two kids, very young at the time, my son was just going to start kindergarten. So we thought that was a good time to move back. And it just worked out to, that we were able to move in to a space and help out in any way we could. I was home all the time. I was able to really help out with that. So we moved back for that. 2016, she passed away a few years later. And then my father-in-law, had been struggling with prostate cancer. Well, not really struggling. He was doing quite well, actually, for several years. And then it just kind of came back very aggressively, near the end of second half of 2025, I think is really what happened. And then just went downhill very quickly. And, but we had been living in the same house, so we had been all together as a family unit. So, I joke that the one bad thing about my in-laws is that they're awesome and I can't make in-law jokes. So they're really great. I really hit the jackpot. They're super great. And I'm so happy to be, welcomed into this family, and they're just so wonderful. So it was, and there's a lot of stuff that we had to do. We were suddenly homeowners. We were suddenly, all of the stuff that you have to deal with during an estate, all that stuff. It was super complicated. Neither one of us had ever really gone through that before, because when my mother-in-law had died, my father-in-law was the one who was dealing with all that.
Right.
So a lot of the year we were busy, sort of figuring things out. And then when it kind of slowed down a little bit and the quiet moments were there, I think that hit me a lot harder than I expected it to. And I really, professionally, it turns out my depression manifests in avoidance. So there were things, there were emails I wasn't answering. There were, calls I wasn't taking, and these were incredibly understanding people who once I did have the wherewithal to actually speak with them, everything was fine. There wasn't any reason other than my own inability in that moment to deal with that kind of thing. So this past year, motivation has been actually quite a large challenge for me. I feel like I'm coming out of it. Excuse me. I feel like I'm getting better, whatever that looks like. I feel like I'm able to do things now in a more regular way. But there are still moments that do creep up of like, I will have trouble getting myself going, have trouble just starting something. Once I'm in something, it's a lot easier, but the starting moment for me has been a large block, especially this past year. So I guess my big answer is I don't know, because I'm not sure if anything specific brought me out of it or is bringing me out of it. I'm not going to presume that I'm perfectly fine and everything is great now. But yeah, that is a challenge, and it's a great question that I actually don't have an answer for, especially in light of this, just, in light of what was it, a difficult year, more difficult than I expected, right. I guess. So it kind of hit me out of nowhere, really. Well, not out of nowhere. It's very obvious where it came from, but I've always been fairly even keel when it comes to that, when it comes to things. Like I tend to try to be as stable as I can be. And I think it was just beyond what I had in the tank this last year. And there were a few instances where I don't think I dealt with it very well. I don't think I've burned any bridges, but I might have. And so there's some repair work that is going to need to go into that for me, professionally, personally. But yeah, that's a rambling answer to that question. That I think it's a day by day thing. It's a day by day thing. I'm not one of those people who has had this self-employed mindset my entire life. Trumpet gigs for me, I don't ever plan the gigs. I get hired for a gig, I go play the gig, I come home. That's super easy for me. And that's never been a motivation issue, even if it's not a great group or it's not great music, or, it's just the same cheesy wedding music over and over again. That happens, and you go and you play your best, and, it's not your day, it's their day. So you're going to make it what you can. But, artistically, it's not terribly satisfying, but it's still beats digging ditches. So, I've never had that problem with the trumpet, but as I'm, like we said before, wearing all these different hats and having to do all these things, I find it less automatic for me in voice acting. So that's been a struggle, like being my own boss, and being the one responsible for my schedule, being the one responsible for all the communication, being the one responsible for invoicing, all the stuff that goes along with the business. I've never, ever done that before. I am just this is my 7th year as a business owner, and I still feel like I'm figuring it out and trying to lock in systems that I can consistently do. So,
and that's okay.
Oh, thanks.
And in not just in our line of work, but for any business owner, there is no set ratio of timeline to milestone that we all have to meet. There's no template that we all have to abide to, thankfully. So in regards to motivation or having the tank not as full as you put it, that's okay. Because if we're not going, or if we're not allowing ourselves to kind of slow down and pause for a bit to take care of the things outside the office, then we're actually going to hurt ourselves in the long run.
It doesn't benefit any aspect of our life to do that.
It really doesn't. I'm always an advocate for family first before other real life things need to take place. And so if you need to dial things back, and listeners, this goes for you too. If you need to dial things back in order to focus on the health and welfare of your family first, then please do that. Just as you heard, Stacy talking about that. So Stacy, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that with us. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think overall that kind of thing just needs to be talked about more, especially by men. We are told to be one thing and berated for not being that thing. Right. I feel like I've had a fortunate enough upbringing, even in rural Iowa, to where I was never kind of really put under that kind of pressure. So I was able to kind of be what I want, but I see that. And now, with kids, I see that a lot. I see that in, my daughter's friends, my son's friends, all these things like, oh, you should be this, you shouldn't be this. And it's really scary to look at it from the parental side as well, realizing, what that can do and that it needs to change and that we need to, we're all, I don't think I've met a normal person ever. You talk oh, don't do that. That's not normal. Like, well, but what is? Have you ever met what you would consider to be a normal person?
Nope. I've got a long-standing theory that says there's no such thing as normal.
It's all this, not even a bell curve. It's just like this weird Appalachian range curve, maybe even Rockies. We'll make it more jagged, but like, it's just, there is no normal. And I think once we embrace that and know that, in whatever range we're looking at, whether it's behavioral or gender identification or political spectrum or anything, like just take it all as it comes and take the individual people, and things are going to get better if we stop trying to jam things in boxes. It's just ridiculous.
Right. One of my daughters has a saying that goes, normal is weird and weird is normal.
Yeah. If I ever met a normal person, I think they'd be the weirdest. I would not want to hang out with them.
No.
Like, you're strange. Get away from me.
But that's one of the founding reasons as to why I named the podcast as it is, Idiosyncratic Fables, because we are all weird. We are all unusual, and all are deserving to be heard.
Absolutely.
So I got one final question for you, Stacy. What's coming up next for you? Do you have any dream projects or bucket list books you want to narrate, or even a new creative adventure on the horizon?
Well, I got to say, in kind of relationship to what we just talked about, I am really enjoying the stuff that my kids are doing. That's a fun gig for me to kind of see what they're doing. My son is going to be swimming in the regional swim meet for the North Central YMCA team kind of things. He just had state here a couple weekends ago, and he's going to be swimming the regionals down in exotic Des Moines.
What fun.
I know, right? Des Moines has become a really cool town. I don't know if you I think Des Moines has really turned into a cool place. It used to be really not great when I was a kid, but it's kind of a fun place to be now. He's swimming. My daughter's swimming. I love just her. She's got this amazing art style, this comic book style that she does, just this amazing way to capture like the actions and the facial expressions that just in the simplest, really just coolest ways, just cracks me up all the time. It's great. My wife is going down to point 8. She's going down to 4 days a week at her job, which I think is spectacular. And okay. I'm finally in a position professionally for the first time in my life, certainly the first time in our marriage, where I'm able to financially contribute significantly enough that we can help her do that, that's she's not just shouldering the entire load. So I'm really happy with that. So honestly, that's the stuff that's on my mind as far as like what I'm excited about. Gigs coming up. I've got a couple, sci-fi series. There's one, lit RPG, my first lit RPG with Podium. I'm really digging that one. Just sent off the files for the first book a while back. Really looking forward to the second and third ones, because the whole thing, it's going huge in this book. Like the arc of the story is going to be massive. I'm really excited to see where it goes. Let's see. Just keeping on doing stuff. Heading out to New York for the next weekend. I'm heading out to New York. Not going to be at the Audies. I had one submission but didn't get nominated. But just going out because I love to go out to New York and hang out and see all the other crazy people who are locked in their boxes when they get out of their boxes. I say, you're pale. Hey, I bet you're a narrator. You can see them coming a mile away. And when they gather in a group, the horizon glows. There's a glow to the horizon.
I love gatherings like that because I'm the oddball when it comes to narrators. I'm very much an extreme extrovert. So I love being around people. So any opportunity to go visit fellow narrators in person, like, hey, how's it going? Big handshake, hug. They're like, oh my gosh, you're touching me. That's wonderful. It's nice to meet you too.
I need an adult. Yeah. No, I love, I think ultimately I am an introvert, kind of at my core, but I've got some pretty decent extrovert gears, that I feel comfortable enough in. And I don't avoid those situations, but I do need to recharge, from them. But I do enjoy going out and doing that. What was it? I think outrovert was the term I just saw here recently. Not like I think ambivert was the first kind of try to combine those terms, but then outrovert kind of has, I think, subverted that one. How do it go? It's so there's introvert, extrovert, and then an ambivert was someone who could do either. But then an outrovert is someone who can do either but prefers one. So it is more of a spectrum. So like I prefer to be an introvert. No. An outrovert is someone who has a preference on one, but they do need to do the other one periodically. Like they don't just avoid it completely. They need a little bit of that. Okay, then they're fine. So like, yeah, you can be in your house for a month, but I got to get out to a party. I got to go do something. I got to go hang with someone. Or it's like, oh, this is great. I've been partying. I just need a day. And then I'm cool. Then I'm back to party. This is great. Where an ambivert can do either, an outrovert tends to live in one, but realizes the need for the other one. Like a yin yang with the circle in each one. There's a little bit of that, a little bit of the white and the black, a little bit of the black and the white. I think it's that. Anyway, that's
no, it's okay.
Off to the side. Yeah. Are you good? Are you going to get out to New York or?
Not this year. We had 3 back-to-back financial jabs and crosses and right hooks to the jaw.
Yeah,
that we have to take care of. So any and all trips this year is not in the cards.
Bummer.
It's okay. It's life with 3 teenagers.
For sure. We just get braces.
One of them actually is braces. The other 2 is not teenager related. It's just homeowner related. So water softener, and then a brand new furnace. So
my furnace is just outside there, and we're going to replace one too, man. Preach it, brother.
Huzzah. Stacy, you have been a fantastic guest on the show today. I truly appreciate you.
You've been a fantastic host, sir.
Thank you. Any last parting words for our dear listeners out there, all the 10s and 20s that are listening?
Halves of dozens. No, it's, I will say this. I've said this since I've started. I will continue to say this, probably, for the rest of my life, that this is the greatest community. The audiobook narrator community is the greatest community I've ever heard of, let alone had the opportunity to be a part of. You hear so many horror stories about film actors and stage actors, and just this sort of cutthroat world of, the LA audition scene and all this stuff. And obviously I'm filtering it through a Midwest mentality. I've never had to go do that in one of those scenes, or like the New York music scene, or, all this stuff, or even the orchestral audition scene is kind of ugly sometimes. God, just to be in this community that lifts each other up so much, from the rock stars, to the very beginners. Like, everyone is together almost instantly from when you say, "Oh, I'm a narrator." Like, "Oh, hey, cool," and it's like you are welcomed immediately. And I just love being a part of that, and I just want to continue that as part of this community, and make sure that other people feel that as well.
And so you shall. That is fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you as well. And until we talk to you next time, peace be with you. And that wraps up another wonderful episode of Idiosyncratic Fables. Thank you so much, dear listener, for being a part of this show, and also for being a part of this journey. I appreciate every single one of you. You need to go binge listen to Stacy's work on Audible. Things to include like Nature's Silent Message, Ripley Fire Station 5, and dozens more. You can even find him on his website at mrstacycarolan.com, which I'll provide the link for you in the show notes, to where you can listen to his demos, learn about his studio, and stay in the loop. If you enjoyed this episode, leave us a review, share it with a fellow book lover or outdoor adventurer, and subscribe so you never miss another story. If you're out there listening and you want to be a part of the show, I invite you to send me an email directly through my contact page on my website. If you would like to see what it's like being an audiobook narrator, take a glimpse behind the curtain, behind the scenes, if you will, I also invite you to join my Discord server, where I often narrate live, not all the time, given authors permissions and stuff. But that link is also in the show notes for you. You are more than welcome to attend, and I would love to have you there. So until we meet again, I encourage you, keep your fire burning. Keep your stories wild. And we'll see you out there. I'm James, and once again, thank you for listening to Idiosyncratic Fables from Wilderness Fire Productions. And until I talk to you next time, peace be with you.